Hello again. Just thought I'd do a quick video to run you through my retro consoles and maybe some of the games that I own. This is my Atari 2600. I was actually given this by a friend of my mum's. It still works pretty well. I tried to do an AV mod and that didn't turn out so well. The colours are a bit messed up. Here are my Atari games. As you can see, not a huge collection, but I've got a decent number, and the ones that I do have I actually find that I play, rather than having a massive collection of games that will probably never be even loaded up. It's my Master System 1. As you can see, I have that fantastic game Wonder Boy 3 plugged in there, and that's what I get actually play on it most of the time. Again, not a huge collection of games, but the ones that I have, I do from time to time get out and have a bit of a go. Here's my Mega Drive 2 attached to a Mega CD 1. Played the Chaos engine on it most recently. That was fantastic. I had a couple of friends over. We were playing 2-player Chaos engine, and that was just awesome. I have a slightly larger collection of Mega Drive games than for most. Was given them by a friend at some point, and also have a handful of loose cartridges for the Mega Drive. A couple of gems in there, like Sonic and Knuckles, and the Monsterland, Another World, which is amazing. It's not quite as good as maybe the DOS port, but still pretty fantastic. Mortal Kombat, Theme Park, Urban Strike. All the good stuff. Here's my Saturn, PAL model obviously. Has a RAM expansion cartridge in the back there, which came with the system, but I'm not sure what games actually use that. I think Metal Slug is the only one that I have that actually uses that. Oh, hello. Saturn games, unfortunately not too many. There are some good ones there. Ones that I play a lot, which are Virtual On and Sonic 3D. Worms gets a bit of a play every now and then, sometimes when we're having a LAN party. And these two loose discs here of Daytona and Virtual Fighter 2. Here's my Sega Dreamcast. It's the only thing what I think I've done to this one is to add a AA battery holder instead of the coin battery. Other than that, blue LED, and it doesn't even have the network adapter, still got the dial-up modem thing. Only a couple of Dreamcast games. Soul Calibur there in that loose case. 2 copies of Sonic Adventure for some reason. Shenmue, which is fantastic. Virtua Fighter 3 TB, which is also very good. And then that DVD case at the bottom there, I think just has WWF something or other and Chef's thing, that South Park party game that came out that was crap. They came with the Dreamcast for free when I got it, so yeah. Here's my NES. It's pretty much unmodified. I think I disabled the lockout chip, and that's about it. Here's my collection of NES games. As you can see, nothing really in boxes. The infamous Ninja Turtles. Infamous for its difficulty, of course. Mario Brothers 3. Mario Brothers plus Duck Hunt. And I do have a boxed copy of Mario Brothers, which I managed to get quite cheaply on eBay. I also have this guy, which is very cool. No box, unfortunately, but it's all gold and shiny. Why would you want to hide it in a box? Here's my SNES. It's a PAL SNES, obviously, so it looks a bit different from the American one. But I've got an adapter in there so that I can run American games, such as Chrono Trigger, which is awesome. I have actually done some mods to this SNES already. I don't know if you can quite read that, but there's a lockout on or off. I've called it global/Europe, and also a 50-60 Hz switch. My SNES collection's pretty small. I only have one game in its original box, which is Super Mario World there. The rest of it is either in modified cases or just as loose cartridges. Link to the Past, a Japanese version of FF5, Super Mario All-Stars, Super Street Fighter 2, Mystic Quest Legend, which is actually a Final Fantasy game, just released without that part of the name in the PAL regions. Over here I've got Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger, which are in, well, they're in VHS video boxes, but with the sleeve wrapped around the outside. I also have the Super Scope for the Super Nintendo, but in a move, the base station was misplaced, so I can no longer use it. Next up, hiding away in the corner there, I've got a Nintendo 64. I'm pretty sure I've got the memory expansion in there for the one game that I own that actually uses it. Playing a bit of multiplayer of that at LANs lately, which is just rad. Again, unfortunately, my entire 64 collection is basically unboxed, loose cartridges. Pokemon Stadium 2 there, Clay Fighter, which is horrible. Fun graphics, but plays like a piece of crap. Donkey Kong 64, which is, I'm pretty sure this is the game that needs the memory expansion. Finally, there's my Nintendo GameCube. Nothing real special to note there, except that I have the Game Boy player installed, which allows you to play Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games on your TV. As you can see, my GameCube collection is quite slim. I've got Rogue Leader there, which has sort of tied me over forever, basically. It's the one game that I've had as long as I've had the GameCube for, because it is just awesome. There's Pokemon Colosseum, which has been dragged out at a couple of LAN parties. There's the disc thing that you use to launch the Game Boy player with, and Mario Party 4. None of these are in their original cases except for the Game Boy thing and Rogue Squadron, because I picked them up cheap as loose discs. And here's my PS2. It's been modded so it can run in import games, PS2 and PS1 import games. It's been fitted with a hard disk so that I can run my games off the hard disk instead of having to hunt for the discs all the time, and also has the network card installed. Obviously you need that to have the hard disk installed. So here's some of my PS2 games collection. Final Fantasy games, Kingdom Hearts. These are down here because they're next to the other Final Fantasy games. The rest of the PS2 collection is up here. One of the cool things that I have is the PS2 Linux Kit here. And finally, just a quick look at how I've got all these bits and pieces hooked up to the one TV. One AV selector there with all of the Nintendo consoles plugged in. Another one there with all of the Sega consoles plugged in. A final switch here to select between those two. And that finally goes into AV1 on the back of my TV. The aim, of course, with the RGB project that I'm doing is to get rid of all this, replace it with a single SCART switch box, and then a little active box that converts RGB to component video, which this TV will accept. So I hope you enjoyed that little tour, and see you next time.